Going live.
Woo!
Live. That's it. We're live. How does it get any better than this?
How does it? Hello, everyone. Hello, Simone.
Hello, Paula.
This is the conversation that I was not willing to not have. So I'm really glad that we were able to work this out.
I'm glad that we were able to work it out as well. So I'm in Mexico right now, in Puerto Vallarta. Let me just do this. See if I don't know if this is going to work or not, but
Gorgeous.
You can see. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's my view. It's horrible, isn't it? Just horrible.
Terrible. I don't know how you cope.
I know. It's like very stressful.
Which is an appropriate response in Mexico. The land of telenovelas.
Telenovela. Yes, exactly. What is it? The Diomas. Is that it? Dios mío. Dios mío. Dios mío. Oh my goodness. The view. Dios mío. Dios mío.
Falls dramatically into the pool.
Exactly.
I love it. Okay. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Yes.
One, because I love all the conversations with you. And this is something that has, for me, changed the way that I look at my business. And anytime someone has a challenge in businesses, this is one of the first places I go to. So we're going to talk about creators, connectors, and movers.
God damn. Yay!
and a few other things, but that's basically where we're going. So, okay, let's start. And can I just ask you some questions and then we just go from there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Or do I open it up a bit more? I'm kidding.
It's gonna be
whatever. Yes, no, yes. Always yes. Yeah, always yes.
Green. No, wait, blue. Okay. So I know that like the first time I ever heard you talk about this thing of creators, connectors, and movers was in a business done different class. And you present it as like the 3 energies that your business requires.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really cool. And we're going to come back to that once we talk about creators, connectors, and movers. But can you break down like these 3 pieces? So there's creators, connectors, movers. These are the 3 energies. Let's start with creators. Like, what is a creator?
Okay. And I just want to point something out. So if it's the first time you heard it was in a business done different class, that means you hadn't read my book before you actually went to a class. Just saying, it's Enjoy Business book as well, the book I wrote.
It
and
is.
These tools are all from Access Consciousness too, by the way, because the first time I ever heard this was from Gary Douglas. But it so matched the energy of what I knew was possible, right? So, and I just want to add one thing, because I say there's 3 energies, because most people go to, oh, I need 3 people, and they make it linear. And it's not linear. It's not like I need to hire 3 people for my business, okay? It's 3 energies. So,
Yes.
And we'll get to that. So the creator is the person who, the creator is the person who has a billion ideas. A lot of the times they're, like myself, it's like, the big joke is the people I work with, I go, I was just in the shower and I had this idea. Like if you're someone who has a shower and you have a billion ideas, or you're cooking a meal or going for a walk and you're like, oh, this. Now, the piece that I would like to see change for a lot of the creators in the world is that they judge themselves. Because quite often you are not short of an idea. You have so many ideas, but how much have you been judged and projected at you that, oh, well, you can't make up your mind. Why don't you stick to one of these ideas and follow through? That's not you. If you're a creator, you are just like boom, 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 boom. And it's endless, right? So my suggestion first off is acknowledge, if you're listening to this and you're like, damn, that sounds like me, acknowledge you are a creator, okay? And get a book or, on your phone or something like that, start writing down all of your ideas, because I see a lot of people, they go to the judgment based on other people's projections and also based on, oh, well, I came up with all these ideas, but I haven't taken any action. They haven't come to fruition, like they haven't showed up. Well, how many future ideas have you killed because you put a time span on it? So if you write it all down in a book or something, and every now and then it's like, I don't know, when you're sitting on the toilet, it's like late at night if you can't sleep, it's like open up your book and look at all of these ideas and ask a question. And a question could be, okay, which one of these ideas would like to actualize now? Which one can I take action with? And is it for today, tomorrow, in a week, a month, 10 years, next lifetime, whatever? but do not kill your future possibilities because you go, oh, well, I had this idea and it didn't show up. Okay, it still could. Like, the universe doesn't work on this timeline that we seem to give it and make so imperative.
What?
What?
It's funny. The first time I ever heard you talk about this, I very much was like, I didn't think I was a creative person. And I heard you talk about that and I was like, huh, okay, I might need to rethink this whole situation. But the other thing that you said, in addition to the like write it down, is also when you have an idea, like ask it to let you know when it's time. So like I love that you said, is it a week? Is it a month? And sometimes you might have a thought or an idea and you just kind of put it aside. And what I've really started to do is be like, okay, let me know when it's time to actually like start moving this thing. Because sometimes you are in the shower. In fact, this morning I had an idea in the shower and I laughed and thought of you.
So you were thinking of me naked in the shower. How did I get so lucky? I like that. Hey, as you said that, I just want to give an example because you may have things that just like I say, ping you all the time, right? And for me, real estate has been something that I've always been like, oh, I could make money from real estate. Like, you could create wealth from real estate. And yet, even when I didn't have money and I was in debt, I still pinged me. Like, I still had this like, oh, real estate. Like, what is it I know about real estate, right? Didn't have the money, but I didn't negate it. I didn't sort of go, oh, well, that's not possible because I don't have the money. But when I did have money, I was able to start investing in real estate. I mean, I just bought my first commercial property, which is really cool. I haven't done that before. It's like, hey, how does it get any better than that? But with real estate, there's one thing I've always had this awareness of too, of buying and then flipping them. Now, I am not the renovation girl, like the dust. I don't like all of that. But I like the idea of buying something for a cheaper price and then having people I know come in and flip it, right, to do it up and renovate it. Now, so eventually, this has been an idea of mine for years, but I didn't kill it. And then eventually, all the friends of mine came along and we went, ooh, and it's like, these guys, you know, they're guys, men, and they know what they're doing with that. I don't, but I was the one with the finances and they were the one that could actually, you know, go into the house and renovate, etc. So we went, oh, let's start a business. So we've started a business. We have a company. We've set up the whole system. We even got like a one-page agreement and went forward with that. Now, probably about a month after we set it up, the market in Queensland, in Australia, where I went, just skyrocketed. So not good timing, not great timing. We've now had that company for about 18 months and we haven't done anything with it yet. And most people would go to, oh, that failed. And I'm like, no, it hasn't failed. We just haven't chosen something with it yet. I'm like, okay, I'm fine with paying the fees to keep a company open for a year. Let's see what's going on. And you expand your awareness and go, okay, business, you know, show me when is the right time, the right space, that there's going to be this possibility that shows up that we can create something. So it's there's really no timeline to it.
Yeah, I love that. And I think like that's a great example to move into some of the other energies, because you talked about how you had the idea as the creative energy, like that was the boost of creativity. And then you had to have some connectors and movers in order to put all those pieces together. So let's talk a little bit about connectors.
Okay, so connectors. What's that, Paula? Not you. Kidding. She's an amazing connector as well as a good creator. So the connector is the person who basically, it's like it says, it connects everything. They will talk to everyone about everything. So, you know, you have a great product, you have a great service, and this person is just like, oh my God, have you seen, you know, Paula's blah, 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 or have you seen this? It's like, oh, you should check this out. They're always gifting the information to others about a business, a product, a service, a person, something. You know, they may be the person who, you know, jumps in an elevator and actually says hello to people. You know, they're not afraid to pick up the phone. Because some people, it's the most terrifying thing in the world to get in a you know, a packed elevator or to pick up the phone and cold call someone. If that's you, then you're probably not a connector. It's like a connector can talk to anyone, man, woman, child, you know, wealthy, poor, you know, royalty. It doesn't matter. A connector would just be like, hi, you know, hey, I've got something for you. And A connector doesn't come across as this big ass salesperson, because they're just genuinely interested in connecting you to this. Like, that's their job. And another thing is, a connector quite often, well, like all of these aspects of these energies, is not willing to acknowledge it. So a lot of the times when you find a really good connector and you desire to pay them, right? You're like, oh, can you connect this and that? And they're like, what? And like, anyone can do that, and they get a little confused because they're like, why would you pay me for just talking to someone? But that's the thing. What I have found over the years is what most people are great at, Paula, they end up deciding that it's useless because they have this point of view that I can do this, anyone can do it. It's not true. I really get it's time for everybody to start acknowledging their capacities, their talents, their abilities, and really acknowledge yourself so you can be like, you know what? Hey, I am a great connector, or I'm a great creator, or I'm great at this, so that you can be everything that you can be in the world. Because I'm done. It's bullshit the way people try and hide themselves from the brilliance that they are. What if now is the time and the space that we actually stand up and go, hey, you know what? I'm pretty fucking cool. And it's like, I'm brilliant at this. And it's like, and see where we go from there. Like, this is your life. Live it. It's not a test run. Live it.
I love that. And then there's so many things, so many directions we could go. Okay, so let's talk about the third energy, because there's also some pieces that I want to connect through this whole conversation that I love to hear you talk about. So let's talk about movers.
Okay, so a mover is somebody who has the ability to, it's like, perceive the future and what is required today, like what action do we need to take today in order to create that future. So they're always aware of the future and the little bits and pieces that you have to either organize, ask for, etc. Mover is one of my favorite energies. It's one of my favorite energies. I love being a mover. And I need to talk about the fourth one, is foundational, because the foundational person is good at all three, right? So they're good at creator, connector, mover. And so quite often they've got like this more of this aerial view, like this bird's eye view or helicopter view, however you want to say it, that you can sort of, say if we're talking about business, because we are, it's like you can look down at a business and go, oh, what is required right now? Connection, creator, or maybe mover, connector is required. So you have this like overall view, and a good foundational person will make a great CEO, a great manager, like someone who can oversee the whole thing. I would be more of a foundational person, and yet I think it's interesting because I way prefer creator mover. Like, that's my two favorites. It's like connecting, I'm like, but I can do it, and I can do it really easily. And I think it's interesting because my job, I'm meeting thousands of people all the time, and yet I'm like, it's two people out there, but I can do it. So that's the thing. If I'm talking to you about this and there's any of these that you're like, oh, that one, that's really great, that's awesome. Usually that's not what you're so great at, because you've decided, whoa, this is the best one. I have to actually be that. And if I'm talking, as I talk about creator, connector, mover, the one that you go, yeah, you're like, it's the least desirous, is usually the one that you're good at. So this is not about going to the rightness of you or the wrongness of you. It's not about judging. It's about having the clarity so you can look at your business and go, okay, which one would I like? Like, what am I interested in here? What can I contribute to the business? And then what energy do I need to ask for to show up in the business? Like, does the business need to be, connecting? Does the business need to have a mover or a creator? Because there's some people who just are not ideas people, but it might be the most amazing connector. So it's not about, like I said, going to the wrongness of what you're not. It's about acknowledging what you are, and then with ease and asking questions, bringing in what it is the business requires.
And that is the piece that's so important, is like when you're actually acknowledging your capacities and your talents, then you can actually get that you don't have to do it all yourself. Yeah. And that is something we see so much with like entrepreneurs. I mean, a lot of business people in general, like or even in like families, like mothers that stay at home, like there's very much this energy of like, I have to do it all myself. But when you're willing to look at all of these energies and see what's missing, you notice immediately when you add that energy into your business, it explodes and it gets so much easier and so much more fun, which, I mean, hello, joy of business. So kind of makes sense.
And it's interesting because there is so many people who go, oh, I have to do it all myself. But also have a look at when you ask someone to contribute, how often are people just like, oh, I'd love to contribute? So if you've got that point of view, I have to do it all on my own, and you're not willing to actually be vulnerable and ask for contribution, ask for someone to help you, ask for, that support in some way, then you're actually not willing to receive what somebody else is willing to give, which is a whole other topic. But, here we are with Create a Connect a Mover.
I love it. We have a question in the chat that I think is really cool. It says, how do you get someone to pay you for being a great foundational person for them? I finally acknowledge that I'm amazing, and now do I ask for more money?
Yes. Well, I mean, depends what your job is, where it is, etc. But I mean, so how many of you don't allow yourself to actually ask for more money? And you know what? Asking for more money is a really interesting gig as well, because if it's done from this place of like this contribution of gifting and receiving, it's a really different energy. I mean, when it's done from this, like, when people get that really petulant thing of like, I deserve more, like I've got this, and it's got this like almost like a threatening energy. It's like, well, is that how you want to create your future? So I have no idea what business you're in or where you are. It's like, yeah, I mean, you could be like, hey, so truth, could you ask for more money? Like, is it time to ask for more money? I mean, acknowledging that you are a foundational person or whatever it is that you are. Also really acknowledging yourself every day that you are the valuable product. That's probably another piece that I would say is a more personal thing. It's like, you are the valuable product. But the valuable product, I see people, like I said, misidentify and do this thing with it and create separation rather than, you know what, I'm pretty fucking good at what I do. But that's it,
And I think too, like, you've really showed me this working in your business, that like, just because you are a great foundational person, it doesn't mean that you can't introduce these other energies. So you might be a great creator, a great connector, and a great mover, but in certain situations, you're going to be an incredible like creator or an incredible mover, and you might need to add a connector, or you might not be great at moving in certain situations. It doesn't mean you can't do it. It's just being willing to look at every project individually and look at what energies that project requires in that moment. And I see you do that all the time, like constantly moving, shifting, like even on the team, the conglomeration of brilliant idiots, like how we all have our capacities and our talents, but we will get moved around in certain situations and shine very differently in very different situations.
Well, I mean, we're talking about the three energies that you require, and well said too, Paula. And there's so much more that goes into it with a business, because you've also got like the people who institute really well. They'll actually cross T's and dot I's, and then others, that's not their forte. And it's like you, for example, are one of my favorite people to extrapolate with. Now, I mean, it's a whole other topic, but it's like, what's extrapolation? Is this like dun, 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 and it's like this sort of, you have these ideas and they all float around. You're like, oh, what about this? And the most important piece of extrapolation is not having this structure that it's like, oh, this is my idea, like, or, that's your idea and you have to own it. You have this like gifting and receiving of these ideas, and the original idea that came up maybe never comes into action. But what it did was it went boom, over there, and then you end up with this, or you might extrapolate about something and it shows up tomorrow. It might be in 10 years' time. It's like, but that creative capacity to extrapolate with no point of view, that's probably a better way of saying it, with no point of view, is a huge capacity. And then there's people who will just get shit done, and it's like, you need those people too. Yeah. And, I mean, I've even nicknamed one of it like the grunt workers. It's like, we've got good grunt workers that just get stuff done. You don't have to question it. You don't have to go, is that done? Is that done? Done. You just know that that's on their plate. They're going to complete the project, which is creates so much ease for the people who are like a creator, etc., or a mover, because they don't have to micromanage. Like, how many people micromanage a business because they don't have the people in the correct position? Like, they've got people doing stuff that they don't actually want to do. And I'm a big believer in if you're done with what you're doing in your job, then change it. Like, you don't have to stick to the same thing. You might be done in 6 months' time or 6 years or whatever it is, or 6 days. Move on. Choose what actually brings you joy. Because if you choose what brings you joy, you'll actualize more, you'll create more, you'll be happier, and guess what? More money will show up too.
Yeah. I think also too, something that a lot of this like thing that is also present with this conversation is the idea of like being and doing. And that's all, you've shown me so much about this in like the years that we've worked together, but it's interesting too. And even to like the question about like, how do I get paid for this? It's like, sometimes there's a thing where you complete the task to prove that you're like, to prove your value. And then there's this also thing where you recognize, like you said, you're the valuable product and your being is a contribution. It doesn't mean you just like, sleep on the couch and eat bonbons all day while the rest of the team is grunting and doing all the work, crossing the T's and dotting the I's. But there is
that's what I was doing today, sitting on the couch. A lot of bonbons are, but anyway. Yes, sorry, go on.
No, but it's this thing where like they all, like you said in the beginning, it's not linear, right? So we're talking about creator, connector, mover, and explaining it in like the most linear, easy way possible, sort of, but like there's still all these energies that just kind of move. That's how I see them. Like they all just like move together and play with each other. And then through that is like the creation, the execution, the institution, all of that, which is.
But even the flow of that, I mean, still don't know what bonbons are, but anyway, but if you are on the couch eating bonbons, it's okay to do that. But then you go, it's time for me to get off the couch because that other piece is done. And that's literally the way it should flow, and you've got to be willing to listen and expand your awareness with your business as well.
Yeah, that's something that I definitely, it's funny because I, like you said, talk about moving. Like I know when you're awake every day because suddenly all of the threads start moving and I'm like, oh, there's Simone. Like
I was just talking to someone because I'm in Mexico and I went, I get so confused when I wake up here because in Australia, you have meetings sort of back to back, 5, 6, 7, 8 a.m. in the morning. And here they're in the afternoon. I went, I have to set an alarm to make sure I don't forget.
Yeah.
And they went, what? They went, I actually have to set one too. And they're American. They went, so I don't forget. And I was like, and they were asking me when my lull is because we work so much worldwide. When you wake up in Australia, America's awake. And so is Europe still awake. And then a friend of ours, David from Europe, he goes, I know when you want me to wake up because I wake up and I can feel you. And I'm like, it's true. I'm like, David, get up, get up, get up, get up, across the world. Oh, you're awake. Look at that. Hey, fancy that. Can we chat?
Yeah, it's so, and I mean, that's the when I first heard this thing about the 3 energies, the creator, connector, mover, I was like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. So if you're listening to this now or in the future and you're like, cool, great idea, ladies, cool conversation, but I don't really get it. Like, just go get some bonbons, go to the couch, just know. Okay, bonbons can be a lot of things. They can be like little fruits. They can be little ice creams covered in chocolate. It depends on what country you're in. Okay. But they're just like a delicious, tasty treat.
Okay. Delicious, tasty treat. Mm.
Yeah, not bad.
Do you get to call lovers bonbons?
Sure. Yes.
Bonbon. Yeah.
Why not?
We'll go with that.
Yeah. They just got tastier.
Access joybusiness.com below.
Yes. There's so many. I always can be like, tell us about this, talk about this, let's talk about everything. There's that like extrapolator piece, but is there anything else? Like, let's see, we talked about the 3 energies. I mean, there's always so many things that we can talk about, but if you haven't seen Joy of Business, go to Access Joy of Business. If you haven't read the Joy of Business book, do it. It changed the way that I did business. Primarily because I realized I wasn't wrong.
That's huge. Massive.
Yes. And it didn't happen overnight, but it did occur. So I'm happy to be I'm on the other side of that.
Like if you're not trying to figure out the rightness of you or the wrongness of you, then you literally get to play. And for me, it's like business is this amazing, humanoid playground of possibilities.
So good.
Which I know Paula and I are looking at doing a few more of these, like, randomly, not regular because we're not regular, But if you are interested in coming to a Business Done Different class, I do have one coming up here. You can go to SimoneMilasas.com/BDD Ranch. Why ranch? Not because we like ranch dressing. Oh, yes, but I do. It's because it's in Texas, Blytherville, Texas. And it starts in October. What is it? I think the 5th of October. It goes for 3 days. You can jump on live stream or like this, or you can come live. And it's Gary Douglas and Dr. Dane Here's ranch in Blytherville. And it's so wonderful, like with all the horses around and the roosters and the pigs and all of that sort of stuff. So it's lots of fun. So if you want to come live to the ranch, come, or you can jump online. Or just start like by listening to this again and start by being in question with your business of, of what else is possible. Read the book, Access Joy Business. Like you don't have to have a degree, a master's degree in business to actually create something. If you have an idea, you can actualize it. You can choose anything.
Yeah. Oh, so good. So I'm in. Yeah. So the dates are October 5th to the 7th. For those of you that are looking to book, are furiously searching to book your flight to Texas, October 5th to 7th. And yeah, I think there's the whole conversation of joy of business. I want to just acknowledge you, Simone, and thank you, because it is that in and of itself is a different conversation. Like the willingness.
Yeah, I know. But people go, what? Joy of business. Why isn't it just a business book? This is the way you do business. And that class is actually called Business Done Different because it's different. It's not differently, right? It's different. And if you're listening to this, and for me, this was one of the first classes, not Business Done Different, but a business class I went to with Gary Douglas, the founder, because everything he was talking about business, I was just like, holy shit, this guy's talking about everything I know, that I know the way business could be, but nobody else was talking about it before. And some of the most simplest of tools will create so much more ease for you with your current business or your future business. Like if you have an idea, and like I say, you wake up in the morning, you have blood running through your veins, you're in business because your life is your business. It's like, how are you running it? So come play.
Come play. Okay. And I know we're like wrapping up, but I just, one more thing. So I've noticed a couple of people in the comments saying like, oh, this class is totally calling to me, or wow, like, yeah, I've always wanted to do a business done different class. Paula. If the class is doing that to you, let's talk about that for just a second. So just like Simone was talking about the ideas, right? So sometimes you'll have an idea and you'll write it down, and maybe now's not the time, or maybe now is the time, or maybe it's 3 days from now. The thing that I know as I've worked through is like you have to ask questions. If something's calling to you, it may not make sense. Like you may not have a brick and mortar business, or you may have closed it recently, or whatever that is, or maybe you think you failed at business. But if you're getting the hit to like, oh, maybe business done different, like just the next question is, what would it take? And start taking steps towards it, because there's something there that's calling to you. And again, it never shows up the way you think it's going to, but I just want to say that if it's calling to you, actually look at it. Like the next step is to ask a question.
Well, and just a last little bit there too. So many people over the years have said to me, God, I resisted these classes for so long. And I've found that everything I resist the most is usually what changes my walk. So if you're asking for change, come along. But if you want to keep resisting everything, then do that too. You got to choose what works for you. Don't trust me. Don't trust Paula.
We'll be here with the joy of business either way.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Paula.
So much, Simone.
Are we on the quits? Am I ending broadcast?
Yes.
Bye, everybody.